All right, it looks like it says we are live here. I'm going to give it a minute or two to catch up and make sure everything's working like it should. And there we go. It's on my computer, so let me just make sure my phone's working just as well so I can view it that way as well. Okay, there we go. It's up there as well. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. It's hard to believe we're in 2023. You might have noticed we had a new time for YouTube Lives. This is a new start for this year. We're switching our live schedule a little bit. It might take us a little while to kind of find our groove and settle into where we're at. But for now, we will have a card making live every week on Tuesday. Leah and I are going to alternate, kind of like we usually did before, but it was a little more hit and miss between YouTube and Facebook. And then every Thursday at the same time, we'll have our scrapbook YouTube live, and we're going to have Natalie, who's been doing it, and also a fun new returning friend that will be doing her first one this Thursday. So if you don't normally attend, if you haven't come to any of the Friday scrapbook lives, I hope you'll check them out. Even if you're not a scrapbooker, same with scrapbookers coming to the card making one, there's so many tips and tricks and techniques that can be integrated back and forth across. We still give away a $15 gift card. We have a lot of fun chatting. You never know, you might even be inspired to start doing some scrapbooking. I feel like every time I watch one of those scrapbook lives, I leave feeling like, okay, I need to pull out some photos and I need to scrapbook. And I'm always so inspired. I've taken ideas like Natalie did a mini album, and I used it to make a little mini gift card album for my kids for Christmas, not this current year, but the year before. So if you haven't come to those, we really hope you'll check them out and see how you might be inspired by someone else and in some different ways, even if it's as simple as a fun color combo or a set that you hadn't seen used before. But let's go ahead and get on to today. Now that we're on here, it looks like people are finding us. I see a lot of Happy New Year to everybody. I'm going to say one big to everyone. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. As usual, some things have not changed at all. We still give away a $15 gift card at every one of our lives. Leah and I will be alternating being on camera doing the card and then being behind the scenes. So under the Pinkfresh name that you see there, that is Leah today. And we just kind of catch each other's back on each of these. So any questions that you have that I miss, I do my best to catch them. I definitely get a little slower when we start crafting and moving along there. So any that I miss, Leah does a really great job of catching those. If somehow we both miss them, I promise we're not ignoring, just ask again. And I already mentioned we give away a $15 gift card. If you are new here, let me tell you how to enter to have a chance at that $15 gift card. The way you do that is just what everyone's doing there already. So leave lots of comments in the chat. If you have a question, ask it. If whatever you want to put in the chat, just enjoy interacting with each other, with us. And each of those will count as an entry to that gift card at the end that Leah will choose. Another way that you can get an entry for that is by sharing this video. There's a little arrow with the word share next to it underneath the video. I'm not even going to try and attempt to point to where it is. But if you click that, there's a link that you can grab. You can share it on your own Facebook or Instagram or any other social media that you want to. You can email or message a friend. If you're part of a crafty group and you know it's allowed with the rules, you can pop over and share it there. Just make sure that that's okay. Some groups prefer that you don't do that. And then come back and leave us another comment, just letting us know that you shared. And that will count as another entry. Oh, yes. And then everything I'm using today, there's no sneak peeks, no releases. It's kind of a mix of older supplies. So I have it all linked in the video description. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but I try and keep those linked there just so that you kind of have that as a reference. Let's see. And I see Mari, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name. I know someone that's spelled that way and pronounces it Mari. She says she's new here and she can't wait to see what we make. That's one other thing. If you're new, leave us a comment and let us know. We love to welcome you. This is a great group of crafters, and they're all really sweet and welcoming as well. And they will enjoy getting to know you as part of our little group here. So, oh, and then one final thing that we love is that thumbs up button. It doesn't necessarily count as an entry for any giveaways or anything, but it does help stretch our reach out a little bit more, helps more people find, so we can have new friends like Mary or Mari, however you say your name, who's joining us today, whether it's live or watching on the replay. So if you are enjoying and would hit that thumbs up for us, we would appreciate it. All right, I think we're ready. So I'm going to go ahead. And yes, Christine just mentioned using Indigo Roses. We're throwing it back a little bit. I'd used the washi tape before, but I hadn't used the stamp die. I mean, I have, but I haven't used it live yet. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to create a card using the stamp die and stencils. And I'm totally mixing up the color combo. The Indigo Roses, the washi is stunning, but it's in those really deep indigo blues. You can kind of see a quick look at it there. I've made a lot of cards. It ended up being one of my favorite washi from the release. But we're going to use some different color combos. I'll pull that out here in a few minutes. But I did double check, and the stamp set is a little too big to do the whole diagonal thing in my Misty. So I'm going to go ahead and do this other trick. I already taped my Misty down. I could pull out my memory Misty, but it's a little bit big, a little bit clunky, and I didn't want to mess with that. So I've taped this down to my desk. I don't have as cool of a setup as Leah, who tapes it on. I'm just going to throw one extra piece of tape here just because I feel like I want to make sure it doesn't wiggle at all. Sometimes it's tricky trying to get the tape on there just right so you don't get any wiggling and moving. So I'm going to tighten that down just so it doesn't move on me and that it's held nice and stable. And same on this one. There we go. I just want to make sure that it's really, really taped down well. And then we're going to use the outside lid, since that's a little bit bigger. And it is kind of the good trick to use these larger stamps if you don't want to invest in a larger Misty. Another way that you can use them, and I've done this on some other sets, is you can, it sounds really scary, but you can absolutely cut these apart into two smaller bits. Like on this one, I would cut it right there. Then you'll have this panel and this panel, and then they'll even work on like an A2 size piece of cardstock. So we're going to grab my panel here of cardstock. I'm just going to kind of plan my placement here. Get that all in there. And then we're going to go ahead and grab that same tape. Oh, and Roxanne, if you look at the description real quick, you get a little sneak peek of that color palette. I'll pull them out here in just a minute if you're wanting to pull them out and craft along, but I can kind of say what some of them are. We're going really like deep, bold, wintry tones. So I'm going to be using Persimmon, which is our deepest orange, Berrylicious, which is one of the two darkest reds. I can't remember which one, and Regal Kiss, which is the deepest in our purple family. All right. And we've got that all lined up nicely. That's taped nice and stable down there. Just realized I forgot to get out my, or did I? Nope, I didn't forget. It's actually up here. I have my embossing ink pad. We are going to emboss this in gold. So let me get my gold embossing powder out. Deb, I know it seems scary, but it really works. And then you still can use the die just in two passes, which is also kind of handy if you don't have extended plates for your die cutting machine. All right. Oh, and before I forget, let's run our powder tool over this piece of cardstock. And because I'm just stamping and heat embossing, I don't need to re-stamp this. I don't have to leave everything taped in place here, which makes life a little bit easier for me today. All right. Now, if I was going to stamp, stencil, and re-ink, I would just leave this all taped in place and do all my ink blending. I'm going to move this out of the way because, again, I don't have to worry about doing that today. Leah also has, in fact, thanks to Leah, she enabled me. I ordered the travel Tim Holtz glass media mat. So she just has one Misty taped to that for doing this hack. And then she can move it out of the way or move it wherever she wants. And she has that ability. All right, I'm going to stamp one more time. Just because that clear ink, it's always so hard to see if you've got everything really well inked up and stamped, and I want to make sure that I get a really great impression. Just gonna press real quick there in the centers to make sure everything's in there, and I think we're pretty good. I'm actually a little worried. We'll see. We'll see when we start doing it. I'm a little concerned that maybe my paper moved a little bit, but if it did, we'll just restamp and redo it, because that would be totally my fault there. All right, let's see. Well, this will be the moment of truth here as we. Yeah, so Roberta, don't be afraid to cut them apart. I promise. I promise it's okay. I did a whole video showing how. All right, let's see how that looks like a really thick impression. So we'll see how. So I'm wondering if it's slightly slid and I got a little bit of a double image. I'm feeling like it might have, because I really feel like that's thick as I'm busy talking and pressing and everything. But let's just power through. Let's go ahead and heat emboss it and see how it looks. I don't want to commit to saying it's bad until I might have just pressed too hard actually too, because of the way it was set up there. So it could be as simple as that I've just got, you know what, that really doesn't look that bad. I think it's really just kind of in my head. And if it's off, it's the tiniest bit. So, all right, I'm gonna take my time here and heat set this before I remove this and commit to being done, but let's see how it goes. Okay. I don't know, you guys. It's like the tiniest bit, but it just feels a little thick. I think I'm just gonna redo it one time and if it happens again, we'll just roll with it and not worry about it. But I feel like it's just gonna kind of bug me that it's lost some of that fine detail. So we're just gonna tape down and give it one more try here. Same thing here with the powder tool. And I'm just gonna be a little gentler with how I press that down, and let's see how it goes here. And maybe I'm just crazy, but I think now that I've got it in my head, I have to confirm that it is. Now I'm going to try and be a little softer with my pressure this time so that I don't press quite so hard. And already that looks a little bit daintier. I know you guys can't see that at all, but let's just stamp it one more time. Again, nice and solid, but gentle pressure. Try not to press quite so hard. And then let's see how this one goes. Let's tear that top on. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. Oh, so much better. Okay. I was totally not crazy. That was very much double. Something had slipped a little, my paper had moved. So I'm so much happier with this because I just felt like it was when I used it before, it was such a little dainty, pretty line, and it was just feeling kind of clumpy. So, and you know what? On the bright side, I always say it's only paper. It's paper, it's ink, it's a little bit of embossing powder. I might just save those other ones and leave them the way they are. And I might die cut them and use them just like for layering without even the ink blending, and just keep it as more of a background thing or something like that. So, okay, put this away and then we'll heat emboss. These are looking so much prettier. Sorry, I'm gonna have to put you through 2 times heat embossing, but worth it. Mary Mari, yes, this is Leah will probably link it. It's a We Are Memory Keepers glass medium mat that we use and love. Okay, so just for comparison, it's funny how we second guess ourselves and think, well, no, maybe I'm crazy, maybe it's supposed to be that way. But my advice would be, because I haven't done this technique as much as Leah, I suspect I might have just pressed too hard in my worries of getting a good enough impression. And I don't think I really needed to worry about that. So maybe a soft touch when you're doing this. I'm just gonna clean my stamp off there with a damp cloth, put it away real quick just so I don't have to worry about it later. I think I just noticed recently that Leah and I do this differently. I like to set my stamp down and then put my top paper over it, and she lays it down onto that paper. So kind of a funny thing that I noticed. All right, let me go ahead and move this out of the way. I know the thick lines weren't that bad, Leah. That's why I won't toss them, but in my head, I was picturing those thinner, daintier lines for what I was making today. So just kind of messing with my groove in my head a little bit, I guess you should say. All right, so now that we've got this already, okay, hold on. And I've got embossing powder all over my desk, which is not okay. I hate that embossing powder feeling. CPR press, stamp presser, I love that. I think I might have been doing that a little bit. It was a little too much pressure, but we got it fixed, so we're okay. Let's pull out our stencil. This is only a 4-piece stencil, which is good because we're going to be doing a little more stenciling later on. But for now, let's go ahead and get started on this. We're going to just line up with the stamp image. I see people talking about putting their Christmas tree away. We put ours away as well, or took ours down. I guess we get a real tree, so it's not really putting away so much as just taking it down for the year. But we're leaving weekend. We've got a family trip, and I didn't want to leave the tree up because that just seems like silly and a fire hazard and all that stuff. So, all right, I'm going to use 2 colors of ink here. So I'm going to get both of them out at the same time here. And I'm going to kind of just mix and match the ink that I'm using, because the 3 colors I'm going to use are all really deep, bold colors. And I know, excuse me, hold on, take a little bit of my tea. All that heat embossing, I know I missed lots of questions and comments. So promise I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to focus and keep up here. All right, so these will be releasing soon. Every time we pull them out, I'm super excited about them. They were the swag piece in our holiday event kit. I'm just going to pull out all the ones I need for today, and then put them back with their boxes for later. And these are the 2 I'm starting with. I absolutely love these. So we're going to just kind of mix and match these two. Oh, and you know what I did? Let me fix this. I put these upside down. I was like, why do those feel like they don't fit like they should? Much better. All right. So I'm going to start with the red up here. And I'm just going to kind of let them go and let them be kind of bold. I'm going to go deeper at the kind of the bottom of some of the areas. I'm just starting my blending off of the stamped image so that the deepest kind of gets in one area and then it fades out a little bit as I go along. So I'm going to go with the red up there. And I think I'm going to go with the red down here. This is kind of just getting decided on the fly here, so no specific plan. So it's a surprise to me too. I think that's about right there. And then we'll switch over and we'll do the orange in these areas. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do red over the orange, this Berrylicious, and then I'm going to do the Regal Kiss over the red areas. So in case you were wondering what the plan is there for the second layer, because these roses have a pretty simple, there's only 2 layers going on to each of them. And you can notice by using these that I'm really focusing on getting deeper color on one side of these florals. And the heat embossing is amazing because it kind of helps that ink kind of pool in some different areas than it maybe would otherwise. And these little blending brushes are so much fun because they literally just make you feel like an artist. I don't know how else to explain that. Okay, I think that's our first. I just feel like I'm coloring in like with a paintbrush. So let's clean off all this ink a little bit here. Great thing is these are complementary colors too. So if anything blends together, I really don't care. Okay. Let's pull off that tape. I'll save that to reuse for my next little piece here. And here's our first magic reveal. Look at how pretty and just bold and rich those colors are. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do the stencil a little bit out of order. I'm going to do the other layer of the florals on here. So we're going to go ahead and move on to this one. Now this is pretty simple to line these up. Pretty much if you just kind of look and make sure you're inside the flowers on all of it, you're going to be good to go. One other trick I like to do when I use my piece of cardstock that's a little big, some of my ink blends over the bottom there and makes a line. That's also another spot that I know I can line up my stencil, and it's going to help make sure I have it in the right spot. Okay. I'm going to switch over now to Regal Kiss and leave the Berrylicious. So that'll stay on there. And then we're going to do nice deep greens when we get to that spot as well. All right. So let's start with the purples. And we'll do that over all of the red areas. Same thing, keeping the deepest color towards the base or center area of these, and then just blending out as we go. The purple down here as well. I love mixing and matching different color families and kind of the different effects that you can get by doing that. It just gives it a whole new look. It's kind of fun. All right, and then switch back over to the red brush. And we'll come over those more orange areas with our red tones. I actually was trying to decide, I had both pulled out and I was trying to decide whether to do the red and orange or the purple and red. And I just kind of kept going back and forth. And all of a sudden it occurred to me, there's lots of flowers on here. I can do both. I'm not limited to just one or the other. It's a very freeing revelation when you realize that you can kind of mix and match your colors. Okay, let's clean this off and then we'll have our florals all done so we can see that first reveal of all the layering on that. All right. And keep in mind, these colors are going to kind of blend and soften as time goes on. So as they sit and kind of mesh together and the dye sinks into color the paper, that is going to soften up a little bit. Barbara, if you did cut the paper, you can do that, but because I'm lining up to match with the stamp set, to me it's easier because I'm not, if you were using these stencils on their own, you would cut to the size of our Slimline panel and just use the alignment guides. Because I have the stamped image on here, I need to work a little bit to line up with that. So I'm focusing more on that. Plus I like being able to tape my stencil down. And it is pretty easy to see kind of where everything lines up just by following along on that. Okay, I'm going to move on to our greens. And now I'm only going to be doing one color family at a time. So I'll set this aside. I might need this in a little bit. We're going to switch over and move a couple of these out of the way. And we're just going to start with olive, which is the deepest of one of the green color families. And I'm going to do the same thing, just concentrate color down at the base to get a really deep, dark, pretty look. And then blend out as we go out to the outer edges. I want to get that deep color in at the center, but then keep a little bit of the soft tone. I love the variation you can get from just one color of ink. You can even use the same color of ink for both layers of a stencil. So for example, I could do all of this in that more soft green tone, leave it as is without, adding like the different deeper areas. And then when I moved on to the next stencil layer, I could just do the same color a little bit deeper. So it would give kind of just a different look that would be kind of fun as well. And because these brushes are small, you might have noticed with our bigger brushes, a lot of times we dab them on our glass mat. And I feel like these are small enough and hold enough ink that I always just start on an area of the stencil. Like I don't start right over the leaf. I start off and then I just kind of blend. So I don't know if you can see kind of where I'm doing it, but then I start blending over. So I'm getting a little ink, like that initial kind of blob of ink that you would normally get, that we were always trying to prevent from getting an uneven layer on our stenciling. So I kind of do that on the stencil with this. But if I was doing a really tight or lots of area, I probably would dab it off on my desk a little bit to start with. Okay, last little area here. And you could do this with a bigger blending brush as well. I just love how easy it is to get in there and get the color and the detail in all the different places. And I think that works just about how I wanted. Okay, clean that off. And because this only has the 4, we've only got one more layer here to do. So let's see how this, isn't it amazing how the greenery just all of a sudden pulls this whole image together? It was pretty before, but as soon as you add that greenery, it's just magical. The magic of layering stencils for sure. Okay, so our final detail, and quite honestly, part of me is just tempted to leave this as is because it's so pretty, but we're going to move on. We're going to do our last one just because we can, and we probably should. So this one really helps to line up. There's a few little spots on the greenery that don't have any color added to them yet. So I'm using those to kind of help give me a guideline of where to line the stencil up. And just you'll notice with all of these layers on this one, it's a very whimsical design. It is 100% not designed to go completely in the lines. So don't expect that. or you're going to be really frustrated. But it's part of just that magic, whimsical feel and that artistic, how these stencils make you feel like an artist. Keep in mind, if you look at famous paintings or anything else, the artists, at least that I've noticed, rarely color in the lines. So I figure it just makes it look more realistic and even cooler than it would if not. Okay, I'm trying to keep, again, some of my deep color towards the center of these. It's a smaller area, so there's not as much room to blend that out, but I'm still trying to just keep that deeper concentration a little bit if I can towards the middle, wherever I'm able. And not going too crazy with this because I don't need to go, I mean, it already looked beautiful as it was, so I don't want to make the lines too incredibly harsh and deep and dark. So yes, Susie, olive and evergreen. I feel like it was Angela who was honored as Angela Simpson was the first one that I saw use that color combo, and we, of course, fell in love with it. It's such a great way to mix those deeper greens and get that really bold look. All right, I'm gonna put a couple things out of the way before we do this final magic reveal here. Are you ready? Oh my goodness. And yep, I'm glad I put that final layer on the greens. I knew it would make it. Sometimes you just feel like if I keep going, it's not gonna, it looks so beautiful right now, I don't want to ruin it. But every time I do it, I'm like, why did I think about not doing this? Because it looks even better with that on there. All right, I'm gonna grab, we're not done stenciling now. We're gonna pull out one of our essential, just previously released. This one's called Double Chevron. I'm just going to use one layer of that chevron, the more detailed layer here, on a separate panel of cardstock. So I'm going to move a few things out of the way here and kind of get some space opened up. We're going to set this aside and we'll do all of our die cutting here in a little bit. And grab. Didn't realize how behind I was because I used, since I had to heat emboss twice, I need to die cut or trim down a panel of white cardstock. So let me kind of do that off camera here. I did have them ready, and then like I said, I needed one for something else. So I had to kind of improvise there. So let's get, actually, I think I'm going to do this. That will be easier to see. Okay, we're going to do, I think, mostly the red and orange on this. I haven't fully decided yet. So we'll tape it down. I'm going to die cut this panel afterwards, so I'm not too worried about that. And let's get a bit of a fun background stencil. And I'm going to try and keep this softer and lighter. I don't want this to go super crazy bold or anything. I just want a little bit of a fun, soft background. I might throw some purple in there. I haven't decided yet, but we're going to just kind of start with these tones and see where it goes. So this is where, when I mentioned that you might see us kind of down, I'm not too worried about cleaning my brush off, but I'm going to do a little bit of a clean off some of that extra ink off of my brush so I don't get that huge, crazy concentration of color. And then I'm just going to gently ink blend, pick up a little more of that color to use. Just going to kind of fade it off to a soft there. And then let's go ahead and try, like I said, I'm not fully determined yet how I want to do this, but, ooh, well, I guess I have red now on my fingers. Clean have a wet wipe there to clean the ink off my fingers there, because I'm really good at smudging that places I don't want them to be. And then let's come in from this side with that Berrylicious. Nice, bold, pretty tone there. I want these to blend a little bit in the center, so I'm purposely overlapping. I love the way oranges and reds blend together. And that's where I'm not sure I might, because I'm blending a little bit here, I might go ahead and come in here with a little bit of the purple at the top just to kind of deepen that down. I'm going to blend a little more across here with that orange. Just in that little area. And then let's do that. Let's come in with just a touch of that purple. Orange away. Leave the red kind of there for a moment in case we need to blend that one out. And let's see how that blends in there. Be really careful because this is such a deep, pretty, and rich tone. I feel like I'm liking that. I think that's about enough of that. And then come back in and just blend. Oops. Blend a little more red on that transition area. Okay. Hopefully I didn't go too crazy on that, and it's not, wanted to keep those colors not too dark, but the moment of truth here when clean them off and see how it looks when we peel it off. And you know, the rest of our florals are bold, so nothing wrong with it being a little on the bold side, right? Yeah, that's not too bad. I can roll with that. And of course, I'm behind here, so I haven't created a card base either. It's a Slimline card base, so you have to bear with me here in a minute while I deal with that. But for now, let's go ahead and switch and focus for a moment on doing a bit of die cutting. So we've got this panel cut out. Let's get our two dies out. I'm going to use the Slim Ornate banner for this one. So I'm looking on here, I'm like, I think I got that. Let me just make sure. All right, that's going to be tight on there. So I'm gonna do Leah's trick here real quick and trim this panel down. Because that's another really great trick for lining up, because this die is going to perfectly cut to the edge. So to make sure I don't cut off one side of my pretty stenciling, I want to make sure it lines up in there perfectly. So trimming this down, I said, this is a trick I learned from Leah. As soon as I get it trimmed down, I'll show you why it works. One side there probably doesn't matter, but this will just make it easier. Okay, and a die cut or a paper trimmer that you can see and line up perfectly with that cut edge is going to also be very helpful. All right, so now, and also I have to decide. No, we definitely want that going down. Okay, so now I can take this and just set it. Notice how it's the perfect width now, because our stencils are made to coordinate with our slimline dies. So now I can nestle it in there. I can make sure I have it perfectly aligned. I'll get my tape to hold it in place. And then I can tape this down and it's going to be perfectly aligned. I won't have any white border because I didn't line it up right. Let's hold that in place there. And then let's just confirm that the bottom matches up as well. Triple confirm. All right. And then let's go ahead and tape this one in place, and then we'll just get that die cutting done all at once. And another, I feel like it's all, excuse me, the Leah tricks today. I'm going to use the extended plate trick. Actually, I think someone gave Leah that trick. I just learned it from her. For your Gemini, and she'll probably write down the sandwich so I get it right, but it's 2 extended like big shot plates and then just a piece of 100-pound cardstock for a shim, and that will work in your Gemini. And die cut all of these out perfectly in one pass. And I also like, so I tape it down onto the die, but I also like to add a piece here and there to tape it onto the plate directly. I feel like that's a little extra that keeps this long die from shifting. All right, let's run this through and I'll be right back. It's longer, so it takes a little extra long to run through, but it's worth it because I can get it all in that one. And I'm going to run this one through and be right back. Okay, my noisy die cut machine. All right, and let's pop this out. And that worked perfectly. So I have all that detail of the banner there. Yes, and as Leah just mentioned, it's not following, oops, the wrong one. Not following the rules of the machine. So if you're still under warranty, you might not want to do this, but I've had mine for plenty long enough that we're well outside of any warranty. So I'm more than happy to take the risk there. Okay. Pop this off so I can put that away. And then let's move on to finishing our card here. I just need to figure out, and I think this is where I need to decide real quick. Do I want a white card base? And then I need to create that. Or rifle through my cardstock real quick. I'm debating on this really deep green tone. This is totally the wrong size. I'd have to go get a big piece out to make my card base. But no, you know what? Now that I see it on there, definitely don't love that. Let's give this tone a try real quick. Nope, we're gonna stick with a white card base. Made that narrow down really quick, made my mind up there. So give me 2 seconds. My big, huge paper trimmer is on the floor. So I'm gonna cut this down to size and be right back. All right, so I cut this down to 8 by 9. Got my extra scraps that I'll save. And then my scoreboard, I want to create a card base that's 4 by 9. I agree. I think the white is way classier on this. So you can see it's, let me pull it up a little there. Got the long way down here and I've got it going to 8. So I can score it at 4. Usually the white ones, I keep a good stack of them just on hand in all different sizes, but my supply is running low. So I need to do a paper trim and score party. A lot of times I'll do that when I'm watching a movie or something like that. But all right, so now we have, that's going to fit on there. Then we have all of our beautiful florals. And what my plan was, I really love this sentiment from the stamp set. Your kindness is the greatest expression of your beauty. And I'm thinking I'm just going to stamp this in detail black, but I have to plan where I want to stamp that. So I want to plan a little bit here of where I want to tuck my florals and how I want to arrange those. So my original thought was kind of just cascading down here. But now I'm just trying to decide how exactly I want that to look. Like, do I want to keep all of the deepest tones at the top like this? Do I want to kind of slide them down around? What do we want to do here? How do I want to do this? This is where I'm going to fuss and play for a few minutes and kind of figure out what my plan is going to be. Showing this might fit down. Let me just, nope, I don't like that there. This might go there. Might mix and match a few of the oranges coming down here. Nope. Might not use that one. We'll see. Although it could kind of fit. Nope. 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 Might put this further down, and then these could kind of cascade down a little bit more over this way. I don't know if I'm loving that yet, but let's see. We won't give up quite yet. We're not totally out of ideas. If I do that, this needs to rotate. Oh, okay, that might help. That might be a little bit of a start there. Kind of get that like cascading effect down. And then aim that a little bit more that way, maybe. That might work. I'll pop that a little more. Okay. So if we do that, I want to stamp that sentiment before we commit here. So got it all laid out, got my kind of plan in mind. That might change, but let's go ahead and stamp that sentiment on there. I'm just going to kind of carefully try to slide all of that off and keep it in that same placement. And keep this set here where I've kind of picked my spot. Slide you over. And then this is a little bit, actually, I guess this one does, no, it doesn't quite fit, which is okay. I only need that bottom part to be flat to add this sentiment. So make sure it's square in there. I like to use the grid on my lid to make sure it's even. And then we'll just come in with, we're going to use, this is a big sentiment, so we're going to use the full-size Detail black ink here. I know it's a little bit off camera because I'm trying not to move everything around here too much. Let's go ahead and get that stamped on there. It's a really nice, delicate sentiment, so I'm going to stamp it a couple times because I want to keep it gentle so we don't ruin all that pretty soft detail on that sentiment. One more time, that's pretty good, but make sure I have it all in there really well. Okay, and I think that'll work. I'm just gonna quickly clean off that sentiment. Still got enough stamp cleaner in my damp cloth that I don't have to tear that on there anymore, but I'll pull that off of my MISTI later. So I'll save that to save some time right now. And then let's go ahead and get this panel with some foam on here. Then we can build all of our florals on there and add some bling and finish off. And we might even be on time if we're lucky. Ooh, good. I couldn't remember if I had any ready. I have some long slimline panels. I have to do a little trimming at the bottom there. Not too hard. We can do that. I'm just going to round it off, nothing too fancy, and then we'll see if yep, that's perfect. Nice and easy. Okay. Deb Sherby. I think there's a whole discussion going on about folding cardstock. I don't know what everyone's put in already, but you might have noticed when I do it, I tend to start kind of gentle on this is just 100-pound cardstock, so it's not too hard. But I found if I'm too crazy and press down too hard, it'll kind of cut it. So I tend to just kind of gently crease 3 or 4 times. It's a little more work, but it makes it a nice smooth crease is what I tended to find. So, all right, let me get this on here straight. I'm gonna pull this back a little. I'm sorry, I know it'll be a little off camera, but it's the only way I can see what I'm doing and make sure I have it on there. There we go, even and square. So I'm gonna grab an adhesive eraser. There we go. I had a little leftover residue on there from the tape that I taped it down before I die cut it, and I didn't want to leave that on there. Okay, now we'll pull out the liquid glue and we'll start our assembly plan here. Oops, let's make sure it's on camera there. And I'm keeping all the reds and purples at the top. Not super intentionally, but it just kind of worked well that way. That one coming around there. And then I had this one planned to go there, but now I'm wondering, nope, that makes it a little too, kind of want to keep it just kind of in a swoop down. So I think that's going to work. So I'm going to just start adhering these one at a time, curling up the edges a little bit. I think it's been a little while, Christmas holiday, and not a lot of crafting. I've been spending more time roasting and things. There we go. Got that flowing a little better. Just going to use liquid glue to tuck all of these in here. And that one, I'm going to curl up the edges again there. We've got enough dimension here because of the way that the background is tucking up. So I don't feel the need to use foam adhesive on these. I'm just curling up the edges, which is by default going to give me some dimension. I got a little glue on top of that because of the other piece going on top of it. But it's okay because it's going to tuck under there. And it's pretty crazy too on this as you look on here. Would you even believe that this is the exact same set as the Indigo Washi, and how you have that in all those really cool but rich blue tones? And we've just totally made these more fiery and warm tones. I love that about these washi suites, that we get the original color with the washi, and then you have the dye that coordinates with both. So you kind of get 2 ways. But the washi, I absolutely adore the washi for those quick cards, or just when you are struggling maybe with color combos or anything else. It's kind of a, let's see, so arrange that little. There we go. And then this last one, and then we just need to pull out some bling. Okay, and I think, let me show you the dimension on those flowers, how they're tucked around there. And then I'm going to keep this out, but let's grab all the glitter drop options, and we'll pick, I'm having a feeling I'm going to be partial to the gold. The champagne's just too cool on there. Butterscotch isn't bad either. And honestly, I didn't expect that the blossom kind of works. Leaf no blush and ruby are gone, so I won't even look at those. Nope, I don't like that green. Purple could work too, but I don't really like that. I think I'm mostly I might even just combine all of those. We'll see. Let's pull out and we'll start putting some of them on there. I always like to, I finally got 3 of these trays. So now when I'm doing embellishments like this, because I often do, I either can't pick a color, or I do a few colors together. Another thing that I don't think I did before crafting with Leah, and I learned that little idea of the trios. but now I can have them all out at once and I can kind of look at them. But I also, some of you who maybe are doing the, or have seen the Create and Connect event, our swag piece that's coming up in February, I have the go ahead to use this today. We've already sneak peeked it, but this is going to be the swag in the Create and Connect. Look at how perfectly, it's that same brass tone as the triangle trays. It's got two sides. One's got a pokey tool, which I love because all my other pokey tools are really pokey. This one has an ever so slightly rounded tip. So I don't stab my finger out when I'm popping things out, but I've used them in the tiniest holes and it's been enough to get in and push that paper out. So you've got the pokey end. And then the other side, you've got that little wax embellishment tip. So we're going to be starting to use these in lives. This will be available later, later this year after the event. I don't know exactly when, but if you're part of the event, we also, I think we have a little registration for the event opening soon. So if you want to get your hands on this a little quicker, be watching for that as well. And let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to just play with a couple little, actually, and I really do like that feather tone there. Actually, all three of those colors work really well. Let's mix and match. Let's do a little trio here. That's how I want to place those. And I might do one more little trio up here. So for that one, let's use, so it was hard to pick which one of which size to use. So that, and then we'll do a more medium size of the pink one. So let's do a slightly bigger one of that. These come in 4 sizes, which is super fun because you can kind of mix and match whichever ones you want. But I want one more. There it is. A little one of the gold there. And then I think I kind of like that there. We might still just tuck like a couple more little, I don't know. This one just feels like it could use the occasional touch of added sparkle. Just kind of here and there. It's a little bit, maybe another one there. Normally I'd worry about going overboard, but this card is so nice and bold, and there we go. Yep, and then you had to tip over. Maybe. Yeah, I think I like that there. We'll just add those extra. Lots of bling, but how can you go wrong with bling? And then we'll adhere these down and then we're done. And I know I went, it's like I might go a minute or two over by the time I get these down, but I feel like we just can't skip out on the bling. So we're gonna take that few seconds and then we'll let Leah announce our first winner from 2023. And I have to ask, who else is having trouble remembering to write 2023? I feel like it's only been, what, today's day 3? So there's still a little time to get it figured out. And I know I'm going to need that time. So. All right. And just like that, we might tuck another 1 or 2 on there. But for now, I'm going to call that good. I will clean up and put these away in a minute. Let me pull this up so you can see it closer again. All of our beautiful bold florals, lots of bling, that gorgeous sentiment, the fun stencil background. I love it. All right, I'm going to flip the camera around and watch here for Leah. Oh, I am so sure I'm going to tip these over. I'm going to just move these out of my reach a little bit, just so when I move the camera around, I'm less likely to bump and move those. And then move around so we can say our goodbyes. So who else? I saw someone else saying they were so glad they bought this set. Yay, Kathy. I hope that inspired you to pull it out and use it. Thank you, everybody. I still felt like I was on the New Year's hangover trying to pick what to make today. And this is one of those ones I'm really relieved it came together well, because I was kind of excited about it, but I was also a little bit nervous all at the same time. So it made me happy that it came out. I wouldn't even say like I pictured in my head, because I don't think I really had a full picture in my head. I just knew I was going to use those, and I kind of wanted some bold colors, and we were off and running. So that's how it goes. Sometimes I have a picture in my head and it comes out just like it. Sometimes I have a picture in my head and it comes out completely different, but however it worked. Okay, and congratulations to Mary or Mari Lenny Garcia. You're today's $15 gift card winner. If I said your name wrong, I apologize. But congratulations. We're so glad you joined us today, and hope you have fun shopping with that. The info where you're tagged there tells you how to claim your prize, but you just need to email Leah at pinkfreshstudio.com. Her name is spelled Lea, no H on the end, and then give her 2 to 3 business days to get back to you with that once she gets your email. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for our first live of the year. We will be back with our new time for our scrapbook live on Thursday. It'll be the same time as this, same place, where we've made them kind of consistent across the board. So noon on Central Time, and it's going to be another friend joining. It'll be her first scrapbook live. So I hope you'll come check that out. I don't know if we've really shared and announced who it is yet, but you're going to love her. So I'm really excited for that this week. And then we'll see you again in the weeks to come. So have a great rest of your week, everybody. And thanks again for joining me. Bye for now.